All right, guys. Well, first and foremost, happy Wednesday to all of you. It's June 4th. Hopefully, you can hear me. My internet connection is a little unstable. Everyone good? Okay. Um, I want to introduce someone very special. I've known this woman for a very long time. This woman is an incredible person, first and foremost, so talented. She is, first of all, she's a very close friend of mine. I have known her for over a decade, and I was her teacher. I was her pastor. Now I'm her friend. I don't like to say I'm her boss, but I am her boss, but because we're friends, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, that's it. We're like brother and sister. I love her so much. Her name is Aline Camargo, and Aline, as I said, is so talented. She is an incredible singer, incredible worship leader, super knowledgeable in the area of music, of worship. I really recommend you guys if you check her out on YouTube. If you haven't checked her out on YouTube, she has some incredible music out there online, very anointed. And this is one of her talents, and because it's a personal thing, but one of her talents, she has this beautiful ability to translate songs like immediately. So like a little story of like back in the days, I would be teaching and all of a sudden I would start like singing. And then she just knew how to carry the melody. She knew how to translate. And it was just so powerful. That's like a very hard thing to do for anybody that translates, to be able to like translate and then also do like the singing aspect of it is so cool. And the fact that she's so talented with singing, it just makes it all the better. So a little, background, I'm sure she might introduce herself, but she's been all over the world. She's traveled all over the world. She's actually, apart from working with Unify, she's also the director of a school. She helps with like the global direction of the school called Charisma, which is it's global. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of students all across the world, and so she has the 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 responsibility of helping with the global Charisma. But then she's also director at Charisma here in Portugal, and yeah, I mean, she's a woman of many talents, and so I can't wait to receive from her today. She's going to be talking about the power of language and communication, which I think is obviously, as I just said, she's very talented in language at all, like not just like learning how to talk, but she knows how to talk to people. I've always been really, for me, just been such a blessing to be able to have her in my life and how she communicates and how she ministers and teaches and talks with people. She's very direct. I love that about her as a very direct person. You got to have those people in your life that are just going to tell you, yeah, right, tell you like it is. But there's so much power in the ability to communicate and have language. And lastly, so she can get started, she's actually the account manager for Humify. So she is responsible to talk to all of our customers. So it's a very important and very crucial role to the health of our company. So she is always talking to our customers. She has very good relationships with our customers, and she works very closely with Marcus, the supervisor, to make sure that it's basically always healthy and balanced, and making sure both sides are always being heard. So you can imagine the challenges that she has, and I'm sure she might talk about it. A few challenges she's seen in this role of being an account manager. But I just wanted to give it over to Aline today. Aline, thank you so much for being on the call today, and I cannot wait to receive from you as always. It's a pleasure. So I'll give it over to you, and then we'll go from there. So go for it, girl. The floor is yours.
Thank you, boss. Thank you, everyone, for being here. He likes to talk, right? But love to hear that. And yes, we have this long journey of our story and part of my life and everything. I always say that not only to honor Ryan and Jessica, but because it's actually a reality of who I am today and where I am today. It's part of their investment as well as pastors and tutors and mentors. And I've learned so much, and a lot of things that I do today, it's because I've learned from them And like the whole singing thing, the translation singing, I actually started with Ryan because I never done that before. So I was like always in this place where he used to do the singing and I was translated. So I just needed to catch up. And the more you do something, the better you get and the more experience and mature. So it was not something that I was gifted, and he knew that, but it was something that we developed together, and I'm very grateful for everything. And today, what we're going to be discussing today, the power of language and communication, is a topic that I really like. It's a theme that I believe everyone is challenged. I am very challenged um, into it in all areas of my life, not only business wise, but also relational, socially, church wise, in everything. It's something that we always need to be careful and attentive. And sometimes it seems like it's a very repetitive topic that we face, but it's repetitive because it's a struggle that sometimes we do have, and we always need to refine and align. And before I start off to what I want to share, I want to ask each one of you, and just let's be brief. Um, and the question is, you would need to complete the sentence. The one phrase I wish leaders would stop using is. So you would have to respond. The one phrase I wish leaders stop using is phrase, or like the word. There's specific, like there are terms that leaders use that you're like, oh, come on, please.
I have an idea. I wish leaders would stop saying, I have a new idea.
Good one.
Okay.
Next. Who is next? I can call out the names, no problem. Gabriel Torgino, what's yours?
I'm actually thinking about that.
We cannot hear you for some reason.
Can you not hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay.
Okay, now yeah.
I believe one of the best one is I have an idea, but I would like you guys to help me to delegate that. The delegate one for me, it's always like, okay, let me help you to delegate. And then when you reach that point, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be doing that. Definitely, I'm gonna be doing that.
Good one. Rebecca, your turn.
God, I'm still thinking. Maybe it won't be long. Like make that. I have an idea, and it won't be long, but it's always long.
Good one. Let me see someone else. Gabriel França.
Man, this is hard. You're in a safe place, Gabe. You're in a safe place.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to do it. I have an idea, but I don't know how to do it.
Okay. And lastly, so we can continue, Samuel. Sam.
I don't know. Like, I think it's going to be quick as well. Like, it's just a revision, just a quick revision. You got it. So you have like multiple revisions to make, like 12 or maybe more.
Okay, awesome. Someone else want to share something different that you're like, oh, please, leaders should stop saying this. Bia, do you want to say something?
Oh, not, yeah. Let's hear this one.
No, it's a good one. Oh, okay, cool. So I'm going to share my screen, guys, and then we can continue. Let me see. Okay, so one sentence that I really like about Bill Hybels, which is this leader, American leader, and he's Christian, and he always brings such good insights and teachings in his books, is that leaders shape culture not only by what they do, but also by what they say repeatedly. And it's nice to hear what you guys were saying about, oh, I wish my leader, like, I don't like listening to this very frequently, because sometimes it passes, it's not a reality. And the majority of what each one of you said here is that it's so constantly said, and whenever it's said, you don't take much credit on it because you already know that's not necessarily what they mean. People say something, but not necessarily what they mean that in the reality. And it's a tricky thing because we need to always understand that communication, language is not what you say is not simply a channel of communication, but is also language is a tool. And you have to be very wise and clear using these two because it can brings you to all aspects to inspire people, share vision, to confront, to bring new ideas. Whatever you say, it's gonna impact someone's way of seeing you and respecting you and honoring you. And one thing that I've learned from a friend of mine, she's a communicator, really good, and she once was explaining about communication, and she said to me, Aline, communication is not what you say. No, it's also what the other person understands from what you have been saying. And sometimes we think, oh, I'm responsible for what I say, the words that I use. And she was like, not necessarily. You are not only responsible for what you said, but the way you said it, and also the outcome from what you said. So the way the person receives and understands what you said, you're also responsible to it. And when I started to understand that, it brought me to an idea that, okay, before I speak, I need to think through, because whenever it comes out of my mouth, things are gonna happen, and I'm not gonna be able to take it back and fix it if it's necessary. So that's one thing that I think it's very important for us to think through. It's about being a tool, language being a tool for inspiring, sharing vision, sharing your heart, building new things, but it's also going to influence the perspective of how the other is going to see you. And especially in us working remotely, that can be very tricky because we might not speak directly, but we type, we send voice memos, and sometimes the way that we write things out, communicating, verbalizing things, the way the other receives can be different than the motivation and the heart that we are writing that down. So, Aline, but that's like, where are we going with this? That's very hard, or that's gonna take me more time because I need to think. But yeah, but it's better for you to think more, but to be effective than you just saying whatever you feel. Oh, let me just be quick here in responding or messaging, and bringing confusion and bringing conflict and doing this snowball that it's sometimes it's even irreversible. I think that's the word. You cannot fix it anymore. So it's think through first before you do it, even if you're in this fast pace, because you don't know how is the other one at the other side of the screen. We don't know how is that person on that day, and what state they are in, stress or work. So I prefer always thinking a little bit more and being assertive than wanting to resolve the problem and actually creating a problem. Also, when we talk about communication and language, we also need to think about the weight of the words that we use. Thinking, okay, is this word appropriate enough? Is this word good enough for me to express this? It's if I say this way, is it going to be understood, and is the person going to be aware of what I'm trying to say or not? And whenever you're careless with the words, you may affect the other's spirit, you may affect the other's feeling, And back again, we are all grown up. We are in business. We are, maybe you are leading your community, your church community. But sometimes the words, they are not even bad. They're okay, but they are not appropriate to that moment. And for that, we need to read the room. That's something that I've been trying to learn, and that I think it's very important. And even like working with the company that I work with, not only with Humify, but the partner that we work, and that's being even more. That's being a teaching each day. It's been what, 3 years, and I've been learning a lot about the word. Sometimes it's not bad, but they don't sound good, and I need to see how is everyone, how is during a meeting, how is everyone in the meeting. If I say this, is it gonna come out good? If I use this specific word, is it going to be good? No, it's okay to use it. Okay, but what's the tone that I'm gonna be also expressing? Because it's not only about the word, but also the tone that you say things and the frequency that you use them. So I have one thing here that I wrote to facilitate highlights that we need to consider: the word choice, the frequency, and the tone. So the word choice is the word that I'm using clear? Is they're intentional, they're empowering or not? They're gonna bring conflict, they're gonna be misunderstood. And am I reinforcing key messages often enough? Am I bringing the takeaways? Do I understand if it's necessary to be so repetitive, or if I say this at once, it's gonna be well enough? And the tone, are you balancing urgency with care? Are you directing with encouragement? Because sometimes we are in this conflict, and like we have this project to deliver, and we need to be, guys, we need to finish this off. And the way and the tone that you use, and no, you have to do that. The other person on the other side of the screen might not get that in a good spirit, or understand that you were stressed and that you were already tired, or that it's already Friday and you're doing extra hours. So words, frequency, and tone are elements that are going to help us be wise, clever to what we communicate, and bringing the right message. Here it's saying the right words delivered at the right time can shift outcomes, speed up collaboration, and reduce confusion. I got to a point in my life where I'm all about not conflicts, guys. I don't have a problem with doing confrontations and hard talks. I don't have a problem with that. But whatever I can prevent of having them, I'm doing it. And that also with customers. So as an account manager, I get to this monthly, especially we have the health checks with the customers, and we have also a meeting, me and Marcus as a supervisor, and I need to be able to hear what he says about each one of us, like each one of you. I need to hear him, understand where he's coming from, what you said. So you see, it's a very tricky line, because he already understood a message from you. He had to share with me and make it as clear as if you were telling me directly, without losing any truth and any transparency or losing anything. So he comes to me, share with me. I need to understand in its accents in order for me to come to the customer and share with the customer what you said, as well as listen to the customer, what he says, matching the information, and sharing what I understood and what is the resolution that we have or the agreement that we have to come together. And then once me and the customer, we agreed on things, coming back forth and doing the process the other way around. So that's hard. Yes, it's hard, but the more that you think through the responsibility and think ownership, not only to voicing but listening and translating the way you interpret things, the better you get on the way. So I really want us to highlight and to think through today, in the next couple of minutes, how are we communicating? How intentional and wise are we selecting the words that we use? And with frequency are we able to pass the message often enough or not? Because sometimes you might be the type of person that is like, oh, I just said it once, I'm not doing it again. Sometimes you have an attitude, and yeah, how God bless you with that. And then you think that, okay, I already said it once, so it's out of my hands. No, not necessarily, because maybe you're sharing something and the person that received that, it's not, the word doesn't evolve around you. They have other things, they have other people, they have other tasks. And if you say just once, and depending on the way we refer at once, that it might just get missed on the way. And that's why sometimes it's good for us to reinforce, to repeat. I don't know if you listen to it, but teachers, one of the techniques from teachers is they believe that the repetition is key for the learning of the kids. So that's why they repeat so many times the same thing, because at some point that's gonna be so clear and emphatic into the mind that when you don't even think through, that kid, it's already like remember what has been several times repeated. And once again, the tone, read the room. And when I say read the room, it's about try to understand the ambience. How is everything, is it appropriate? Because sometimes we need to take a step back and not say certain things in that specific time. And it's better to take a breath and wait a little bit more, or say on the following day, for things to be peaceful and for things to be, good enough into the workplace or into ministry. And it's not about running from confrontation or having things sorted out. No, it's not that. It's because sometimes it's not worth it, the energy. It's not worth it, the talk, that specific time. Just breathe, and tomorrow is another day, and it will be a better day because you're already more relaxed and you were able also to have more time to think through. It's always about like thinking through things, and because the way you think, it's going to help you the way you communicate, and the way you communicate, it's going to bring better resolutions and to the one that is listening to it. Another thing that I want to share with you guys, and I'm going to be closing out, is about practical communication habits. As I said, listen fully. So I put it here, 4 of them. Listen fully. What does that mean? Don't rush to reply. Absorb the message. Absorb the message first. Think first. Even especially if it's virtual, the scenario as we are, read carefully. And after you listened carefully, you've read carefully, you think well. You take a pause, you take the information, you translate to yourself whatever the information that you received. After that, you can clarify and confirm. What does that mean? It's like there was this teaching that Ryan and Bia shared with us before about rephrasing. So sometimes something is still a little bit unclear. So rephrase in a way that you can confirm if that's exactly what you understood or if something is a little bit off. And I know sometimes for us, it's hard to ask questions because that can pass an that be seen as, oh, he doesn't know, or oh, he's always like being always asking, or always never gets what I say. No, but it's not about how many times you ask question, but there are specific things that it needs to be so clear, because that's definitely going to affect the task that you have to deliver. So it's better for you to make sure that you actually understood and rephrase and ask just to confirm than you taking up assumptions and no, I think it's that, and you do a certain thing and you produce a certain thing, and at the end of the day you deliver something and it was not what was expected. And then it's very frustrating because you already done it, you invested time, you invested creativity and energy, but then like it was not worth it. It was a completely different thing that your leader, your supervisor, your boss thought, and that could be made it right if you were, and if I were humble enough, and understand me when I say this, if I was in this humble position of simply, asking, like, this is not clear for me, or I understood this way. Is this the way that you wanted me to do? And at the end is access the impact. So you clarify, you confirm, and before sending the message or the audio or before communicating, always think through the impact of what you're going to say. Aline, too much work to simply communicate. Yeah, too much work to simply communicate, but it's the work necessary to make things right. It's not too much work. It's the work that is necessary and the effort that is necessary to make things work in community, to make things work and in our roles in the company, and even to make things work for your growth. Because if you're not master of communication, you're not getting anywhere. You can be good in what you do, you can be the best editor, you can be the best project manager, you can be the best graphic designer, social manager, you can be the best in what you do. But if you don't communicate well, you're going to grow into a certain level, because there are levels of growth that would require you the ability of communication, and not just a basic communication, but being expertise in communicating. So if you want to grow, if as I want to grow more in my role, in my work, in what I do, I need to always improve. I need to always look through what I do, how I speak, what's the kind of verbiage that I use, in order to make it, the more you do, it becomes natural. And then the ones that are watching me, my supervisors or my chef, he's gonna look at it and is not only gonna see that I'm able to produce things and to share things or to give what they want as an outcome for my task, for my role, but I also know how to communicate, and maybe I can achieve certain levels of leadership and lead other people, because I know how to, not only how to do it, but also how to explain and to inspire. Language, good communication, inspire others. Good communication, influence people. I remember, Jessica, when I was young, 22 years ago, I was on my 20, and it was just when I got to Brazil and I started the Bible school, Carisma. And my teens, I grew up in London, in England. And there, British, they're very direct and straightforward and I don't know, sincere, maybe is the word. Yeah, they're very straightforward, very cold in some sense in the way they speak and the way they share the way they communicate. And the time that I was there, and my teens was in England, so even though I was a Brazilian, I was always able to blend in and to absorb the culture, and that's good. But there was also a problem because at the end of the day, I started to be that way and to communicate that way. So when I go back to Brazil and I get to the Bible school, and but you were always a Christian, yeah. But either way, I was always a Christian, but there was lacks that needed to be fixed. And we were in this camp, I think was a UREV camp, and there was a situation there. We had some icebreaker in group, and we had to share something, and I shared about someone because that was the game, and I was very straightforward to what I said. And then that was a problem, and the person came to, well, let's talk about this. And then I went ahead to talk with Jessica, and she said, Lini, you're like a portinha, you're like a little door. And in English doesn't sound as heavy for me as it sounds in Portuguese. And I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, you are raw as a door. Like you are very hard as a door. And then that was everything that she said. And I was like, I didn't like that. Okay, I'm hard as a door, or they are not able to understand what I say, or they are too sensitive, or they are too, yeah. And guys, honestly, when she said that, something switched in me. I was like, yeah, that's not good. That's a problem. I was grown up as like that, but that's not gonna take me anywhere if I continue being like that. And obviously that was a process. But when I understood that I lacked in being sensitive and being having empathy, and that affected the way that I communicated and the way that people received what I was saying, things started to shift in my mind, and I started to think much more before I would say something. But not only that, I started to let the Holy Spirit to help me through that, because I did not want my lack of communication or efficient communication to stop me from living what I had to live and to achieve places that I wanted to achieve and that I believed it was my purpose. So, because that can happen, you can not reach where you want to reach because you lack in communicating. And it doesn't matter if you're good at what you do, you're not getting there because you lack in messaging, you lack in being empathic, you lack in spreading the message. So that's why I have this sentence here: the right word at the right time brings life and clarity. But I also could say the right word at the right time will get you to where you most desire. And lastly, for us to finish off, I want you to think through: the more you refine your words, the more your influence grows. So maybe you think you're good where you're at, and that's completely fine. But even though if you're good at communicating, even though if you're a master of communication, there is always something there that we can improve. And even in Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Even Jesus had to use sometimes parables, and not sometimes, a lot of the time he would message and communicate a certain teaching with parable. He used to draw so people could understand him. And my question is, what is stopping you and I to draw if necessary? Isn't your message powerful and important enough to, if it's necessary, you draw or you make different paths to make that being spread out or not? Do you validate your message so much that you are capable enough to changing the way you communicate, the way that you verbalize, in order to have the results that you would like to acquire? So I want us to think through that. Maybe you did not, it doesn't make sense, things that I said, but I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, you understood the word that you use, the time that is shared. It's going to bring you clarity. It's going to bring you this one. It's going to bring you life, and it's going to bring you clarity. And I think that's it. I don't know if someone want to share something, but I think that's it from my end.
So powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that and breaking that down to us. It's clear that it comes from experience. You're not someone teaching from something that you haven't lived yourself. And I think firsthand, you've dealt with so many people from personal, professional, ministerial, many different levels. And so I just wanted to admonish and let you know that that's very, it's very true what you said, and it's so important to know and to apply every single day, even though these are like simple principles. I always say this many times: this most simplest of principles are the most difficult to actually live and be consistent in living. That's why they have to be repeated over and over and over and over again. Human beings are very smart, but at the same time very stupid in some other areas. And I think the stupidity comes from overlooking the simplicity. And that's something that I think can definitely be taught and learned from all the way from like the C level, the C-suite level, ownership level, all the way down to those that are just getting started, maybe in the workforce, working, maybe it's their first job, or maybe, at any level of leadership or any moment of your life. I think it's so important to apply these principles. So I would, what would be really powerful, Aline, to do is put that PDF, put that as a PDF, Sarai, when you post that in the group. That way we can just meditate on those principles and apply them every day. Like you said, it's not easy. Communication is so difficult. That's why you have to take a breath, remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. Remember that not everybody has the same point of view you do. So don't be egotistical, like you're not the center of the universe. And third is just be humble. Ask yourself, can I say this a different way? Or maybe maybe I didn't take the time to breathe and I just said it and now I have to pay for that. Well, be humble enough to own up to your mistakes in communication. There's so much power in the tongue, as it says. There's so much power in the tongue. So if you have the ability to yield that power, like to be able to work with that, you can do a lot of positive things in the world, and you can go really far. I think some of the most successful people that I've ever seen, it was never really about how talented they were. It was their ability to communicate. That's something like I've been trying to do, like learn so much. It's like, how can I communicate this message? How can I communicate the vision that I have? How can I communicate to customers? How can I communicate to those that are working with me? Like the power of communication. My brother was asking me, he's like, if you had any superpower, like what would it be? And I said, it would be the power of language. Like the ability to speak languages and speak it right. Like that's something I would desire, to be able to speak any language, be able to say it, like to be able to communicate it properly. Because obviously we can't, unless there's a lot of people who study languages, and that's possible to learn multiple languages, but every language is not possible. But nonetheless, I think what we could do is, with the language we do have, maybe we could venture to try to grow in that area of communication and learning how. So I think if we just master the language we have already, like our mother tongue, Then when you go to start speaking other languages, you become such a well-rounded individual. I mean, many of you, English is not your first language, you know, and I can imagine the difficulties that all of you have. I mean, I have to speak Portuguese. It's so difficult to like speak technical things in Portuguese to developers and stuff like this. So I can imagine the difficulties that you guys face every single day. But let me tell you, the investment that you're doing to taking a breath and really trying to communicate and really think about it, it's an investment into your future. And it makes you such a powerful individual on the earth, someone who communicates properly, efficiently, effectively, calculatively. Those are the people that go really far in this world. And so it's not always how much money you have. Some of those people get by because they already have a lot of money. I've listened to like Elon Musk talk, and I'm like, man, this guy is all over the place. But he's obviously a smart person, and he has a lot of money. But like, you get the point. Like, you know, maybe you feel like I feel like I'm like Elon Musk, or I'm like these other guys that have difficulty talking. So I'll be praying for you that, you know, in those areas. But, you know, I think so importantly, the most successful people I've seen again, and I think a person you definitely would help you is like, if you ever like are curious, I really like listening to the CEO of Airbnb. Like, I listen to how he communicates. It's so cool. Like how he's like a storyteller. And so I forgot his name, but type in CEO of Airbnb. He has a lot of a lot of teachings, a lot of podcasts and stuff. And you could just start seeing a pattern of these people. And so pick up on that. I think it'd be very beneficial for all of you. And that's it. Thank you so much, Aline. I really appreciate it. That was very, very, very powerful. Thank you. It was very uplifting. And even for me, I love listening to you teach. And it's clear that you have a gift to teach. And we're very grateful and for your time. And thank you. So, Bia, I don't think we have anything else. Do we have anything else? All right, guys, have an incredible day, and just go get it. Let's learn. Let's grow in the power of language and communication, as Aline taught us. Okay. Bye, everyone.